Our call to worship this morning is from the work of the extraordinary, inimitable Isay Barnwell. I am sitting here wanting memories to teach me to see the beauty of the world through my own eyes. I thought you were gone, but now I know you're with me. You are the voice that whispers all I need to hear. I know that I am you, and you are me, and we are one. I know that I am blessed again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Would you say together the words of our chalice lighting? No, you have to wait. You have to wait for the little flame to show up here. We kindle this chalice flame to remind ourselves of the light of truth, the warmth of community, and the fire of commitment. So welcome to worship at the First Unitarian Universalist Society of Burlington, a congregation committed to searching for truth, advocating for justice, practicing compassion, cherishing life and possibility. We acknowledge that our meeting house, sited here for more than 200 years, is on the land of the Western Abenaki people, the unceded land. The Abenaki have been here for many centuries and are still here today. We are guests in this place. We know that, and we strive to take responsibility as stewards of this land and respect for its people. So, my name is Tricia Hart. I'm the developmental senior minister of this congregation, and I am so glad to share this service today with David Ruffin, James Stewart, Sam Weitzel, and the choir, Erica and Margot as well, our faith development staff, and the tech team. Let's see up there. Michael and Rada, just the two of you, and Memphis. Thank you all for being here. I want to say hello to all of the people who are with us remotely. They're right there in the camera. They all fit in the camera there. Not really. Is there anyone here today who is feeling slightly brave? All I need you to do is raise your hand if you're so inclined. If you're here today for the first time or the second time, so we can say hi to you. My goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's great. If you or anyone else who's feeling new haven't done this already, I hope that after the service you will check in with today's welcome ambassadors, Linda Vogler and Phil Brentwood and Deborah Raggioni. Are you? Oh, they're all right back there. So, thank you. The children are going to stay with us in the service this morning a little bit longer than they usually do because there's special doings outside today. They will stay in the service through the first part of the reflection, the stones ritual. And I'm going to say this now and we'll remind you later. We're going to ask the children to go when they're done with placing stones on the east aisle and head out to the vestibule. And then they're heading outside and getting ready for the fall festival. How many of you knew when you arrived here that the fall festival was today? Oh, Erica, doesn't that make you happy? So the fall festival is really fun. It's outside. The weather has totally cooperated. I'm not telling you anything about it except that I hope that you will hang around for outside coffee hour and the fall festival today. I want to thank you all of us, for making care-filled decisions about wearing masks and getting vaccinated and maintaining distance from people. It's good that we have figured out ways of managing this and taking care of ourselves and one another, and we're going to need to continue to do that. I also want to say, before I forget, that the now regular remote Zoom coffee hour happens on Monday nights at 7 o'clock. You can find the link for that and information about all kinds of things on the congregation's website, which is uusociety.org. And one of the things that you can find out about there is the mid-autumn evening service, which is coming up on November 10th. November 10th, have I got that right? Gee, David, how did you know that? Yes, it will be wonderful in the parlors, 7 p.m., November 10th. There is also today at 11:30 a listening session, another, gotten toward the end, but another in the series of listening sessions that the ministerial search team is holding. And I believe that Rose Ledoux and Nancy Helen, they're going to say that, Tom, I think. Yeah. I'm not making the announcement. I'm announcing the announcers. Is that on? I think it's on.
Hi, Rose.
Hi, Nancy.
I heard that today is the last day to fill out the congregational survey.
It is. And if you think you might forget, come see us and we'll hand you a little reminder sheet with the link. Also, if you feel like you might not want to do it online, come see us and we'll give you a paper copy. Hey, Nancy, did you know there's a listening session today?
Yes, there is a listening session at 11:30 today, and that is the last listening session that we have scheduled, except for there is going to be a youth listening session. And so join us after you've enjoyed the fall harvest fest, and we hope to see you. Thank you.
The last announcement I want to make is mostly appreciation. The Sunday morning breakfast program has just accomplished its 5th week, 5 weeks. It is an amazing thing that was brought into being by some hopeful, faithful, ready to take on the project people. Lots of people are getting food on Sunday mornings, starting at 8 a.m. My apologies for saying the wrong time in the update. Happens for right now, right outside the building. All of the food that isn't picked up by people gets moved over and joins our coffee hour food. What I want to encourage you to do is to think about signing up. There are so many ways, some of them small, some of them easy, some of them in which you get to use your social skills to say hi to people and talk to people, and other ones you can do without ever speaking to anybody at all. What an opportunity. You can sign up online. I just did this morning, and it is, in fact, very easy. You'll be hearing more about this, but I want to encourage you to get involved because it's a wonderful thing. People of this congregation come from many different backgrounds and bring with them many different religious and spiritual beliefs and practices. This is a good thing. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your journey, whatever your questions, your fears, your hopes and your joys, you are welcome here. Let us worship.
There's a wonderful tradition of singing all across the world, worship together. And we're going to sing together a song, a melody that goes back over 500 years. If you'll stand with me in body or in spirit, we'll sing together hymn number 296, O ye who taste that love is sweet. And we'll sing that melody as it appeared over 500 years ago, just to start us off. O filii et filiae, stumble on in search of it. Alleluia. Sing hymns of love that some who hear far off in pain may lend an ear. Rise up and wonder and draw near. Alleluia. Lead lives of love that others who behold your lives may kindle too with love and cast their lot with you. Alleluia. Thank you. Please be seated.
It's time for a story. Would any of the young at heart or the young like to come and join me? I hope so. I invite anyone who identifies as a child or a youth or a child of heart to come up and have a spot right here on the floor. Give us a little more room here, actually. Come on up. Yeah, come on up. Plenty of time. All right. Time for some truth telling. Are any of you afraid of anything? First of all, just put your hands if you are afraid of something. Okay. All right. Oh wow, look behind you. Check it out. Adults too. I thought that when you got older you weren't supposed to be afraid anymore. Well, I was just demonstrating. I'm not afraid. I'm not me. We'll see about that. Anybody willing to say something that, maybe they're afraid about? Did you want to tell? Yeah? Speaking to the mic, is that okay? Here you go.
I'm afraid of the dark.
Of the dark. Well, that must be rough for you this time of year. It's pretty dark a lot of the time. Wow, okay, well, we're going to have to offer you some love and support. Anybody else afraid of anything that they would like to name? Yeah?
Shots.
Hearing, like, gunshots, that kind of thing? Yeah, maybe. Oh, okay, all right. I was in the woods in hunting season being like, is this okay? But we're talking about getting shots in the arm. Okay. Well, now you know something else I'm afraid of. I am afraid. It's true. Anybody else got something that they're afraid of? Okay, well, we got something else. Heights. Let's take a look behind us and see if we have any adults afraid of heights. Woo! Lots of hands. Wow, that's amazing. Okay, good job being honest, guys. All right, so today I'm actually going to talk about being afraid of the dark, which you talked about, and we're gonna talk a little bit about how that's normal, but also maybe there are treats and delights in the dark. Treats. Does that ring a bell for this time of year? Treats. There might be treats in the dark. There might be good things about the dark too. And any of y'all heard about that king who, when he was a kid, he was afraid of the dark? Yeah? Charlotte, you heard about this one? Yeah, Emily Hayworth Booth tells this story about this little prince who, like you, Leo, was afraid of the dark. But since he was a prince, he decided that when he grew up to be a king, he would ban the dark. He would use his power to get rid of the dark forever. And yeah, you heard of this one too? Yeah, so that's what he did. Instead of growing up and kind of facing his fears, he decided to use his power to control light. And they made a big, giant, artificial sun over the kingdom, and it stayed light all the time. And at first, everyone was kind of like, hey, this is great. People, especially the people and the kids that were afraid of the dark. But eventually, what do you think happened? What? Yeah, they got it hot and never cooled down.
Their crops, the farmers' crops, really dried up a lot.
Oh, yeah. I bet that did. You know, Emily didn't write about that, but I'm pretty sure that probably happened. Yep.
They couldn't get any sleep.
Yeah. Emily definitely talks about that, right, Collins? Yeah. They couldn't get good, proper rest, and so they became exhausted. So actually, eventually, the people, they got crafty, and they figured out a way to get the dark back. And the king even realized, actually, you know what? There are advantages to the dark. But, you know, I didn't have that power when I grew up. So I, who was also afraid of the dark growing up, I had to kind of overcome my fear. But I want to tell you a story about how I discovered that I was actually still pretty afraid of the dark. So I went on a hike in my first autumn in Vermont, which was 5 years ago. I was down in southwest Vermont climbing a medium-sized mountain in the Taconic mountain range called Haystack down there. And it was a nice size for trying to go get sunset, see sunset from way up top, and then still get down while you maybe had some light or just had to be in the dark for just a little while. So that's what I planned to do. So of course, what did I bring with me since I knew I was going to be hiking down? Yeah, a flashlight that I put on my head. What's that one called? A headlamp. Yep. I brought my headlamp with me, and I went up and I saw the most beautiful sunset. Oh my gosh, the colors, and I could just see all around 360 degrees. It was so beautiful. And I couldn't leave. It was just so beautiful. I had to see until the last light, right? Because it was so beautiful. And then it was dark. But I had my headlamp. So off I went, a little nervous because, the headlamp didn't light up everything, just the area in front of me on the trail. So, of course, I kind of looked like this, like walking along, ooh, no, okay, we're good. And about halfway down, my light started flickering a little bit. Dum. What do you think happened?
It was getting out of battery.
Oh my gosh, I forgot to check the batteries. So lo and behold, flicker, and poof, out. But what did I have with me? Nope. Well, yeah, kind of. What do you think it was? A phone! So the day was saved. Took out my phone, walked along with my phone. Everything was all right. But I wasn't totally confident because, yellow bar where the battery was. Y'all seen that yellow battery marking? Yeah, that battery was low too. Yep. And what was worse, it was really a cold night. So sometimes when my phone gets cold, it seems to just like go battery poof like that. So I only got another 7 minutes of light, and then all of a sudden, poof, out. And there I was in the dark. And my heart went. I'm sure there were probably a lot of animals that were scared, what's that beating? What's going on? So first thing I did was stop and try to breathe because I realized my heart was going pretty fast. And also, I remembered this saying that I've found to be true sometimes, that your eyes adjust. Have you heard of that one? Yeah. So I was like, okay, my eyes will adjust. It'll be all right. I'll just stop here, breathe, and my eyes will adjust. Well, something did happen. My heart rate slowed down. I felt more calm. But one thing that didn't really happen, not too much, was my eyes adjusting. It was still really dark. And that was because it was a new moon, just like we'd had just a few days ago. And not only that, even though it was late autumn, so I could have probably had some starlight if I was lucky, I was under a big grove of white pines and hemlocks. So they covered the canopy. So it was truly dark. So I was like, how am I going to get back safely? I just don't know. I was scared. Not to mention, who else is out here with me? What's going to happen? Well, the first project was to get home. So I was trying to figure out how to follow the path. Step. Okay, that feels like the path. Step. That feels like the path. Crackle, 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 crackle. That's not good. Take a step back. Step. Step. Crackle, crackle, crackle. What was that crackle? Anyone know? Leaves. Yeah. On the path, the leaves were pushed aside, but on the sides, there were the leaves. So I realized, actually, the way I was really going to have to do this to make good progress was, what do you think? What? Yeah. Well, to avoid the leaves, I decided I'll move quicker on my hands and knees. So I started crawling and feeling my way, feeling the ground. Oh yeah, that's hard ground with little rocks exposed, not leaves, and they're the leaves on the side. Okay, I'm all right. And I went along that way. Still pretty scared, but I was making progress. I thought, okay, this is a relatively short hike, maybe this will take me a couple hours, but I'll get out. I'll be okay. Now, as I crawled along like that, though, and got a little bit more comfortable, I started to notice things a little bit more. Like, I started to feel like I could almost see the difference between where the leaves were and where the stones and the hard earth was. Yeah. Yeah, I think my heart was adjusting as well as my eyes. Like I was feeling like I was okay to be here. Like I belonged here. And then I started hearing sounds that were a little bit scary but a little bit wonderful. Like one you might know, that one that goes, yeah, owl. I heard the barred owl was out with me. And I heard some like little scurrying here and there. Yeah, what do you think? Maybe mice, yeah. Or squirrels, Collins. Chipmunks, yeah, could be chipmunks. And I started to feel like, hey, I'm not alone out here. This is okay. Yeah, it could be a bird. And before I knew it, I found myself getting back up and somehow or another just walking right out of those woods. Maybe my eyes adjusted a little bit. Maybe there were a few less pines and a little bit more starlight. But somehow the way I remember the story, I just stopped being afraid. And somehow the way opened, and it was quite wonderful. So that was a story both of how I remembered that I'm afraid of the dark, but also how the dark is not such a bad place to be, and they're good friends there. So I want to teach you real quick a song, and all of you a song, that Wendell Berry wrote the words for. It's called To Go in the Dark. And the words, which some of you may know, are to go in the dark with the light is to know the light. I'll try that again. Listen carefully, you'll get it. To go in the dark with the light, got your flashlight out? Is to know the light. To know dark, if you want to know dark, go dark. Go without sight. And find that the dark too blooms and sings and is traveled by dark feet and dark wings. Okay, that's a lot of words, but we're going to try to learn it, and if we get a first crack at it this time, then we can keep learning it in the future. So the first line goes like this. To go in the dark with the light is to know the light. You want to try that? To go in the dark with the light is to know the light. To know dark, go dark. Try that. To know dark, go dark. My turn. Go without sight. Go without sight. Let's put those together. To know dark, go dark, go without sight. And find that the dark too blooms and sings. And find that the dark too blooms and sings. And is traveled by dark feet and dark wings. And is traveled by dark feet and dark wings. That was great. All right, let's do a little bit bigger chunks. To go in the dark with the light is to know the light. To know dark, go without sight. You got that. Let's try it again now. To go in the dark with the light is to know the light. To know dark, go without sight. Here we go, next part. And find that the dark too blooms and sings. Want to try that one again? And find that the dark too blooms and sings. And is traveled by dark feet and dark wings. Try that again. And is traveled by dark feet and dark wings. All right, let's sing it all together. To go in the dark. To go in the dark with the light is to know the light. To know dark, go without sight. And find that the dark too blooms and sings. Dark feet, and is traveled by dark feet and dark wings. Nice job, guys. Beautiful. So my hope for you all is as we go into this dark season, that you all remember that there may be gifts as well as fear, that it's okay to feel in the dark. Fear and gifts can sometimes go together. Okay, so we are going to turn now to a time of meditation, and I would like you guys to stay up if that's okay. Is that all right with you all to stay up for our time of meditation? Because it's another special sung meditation that James is going to help me out with. This song is by Isai Barnwell, who did our words for Call to Worship as well. And this song is a meditation on the idea that our ancestors, those who've come before us and lived and died, are still with us in the sound of the wind and in the fire and in the water. It's a way of thinking about where all of us and maybe the other beings go when we stop living our lifetime. And it's a way of imagining the cycle of life that a lot of us find is really powerful. So what I want to invite everybody into now is to take a few breaths and settle into your seat. Settle into this time where we are together as humans that know that our time together, as we know it, is limited. Settle into this time where we're turning into the dark, turning towards the dark. When the veil is thin, as many traditions name this time of Samhain, Halloween. And just see if any of the ones who've come before, who've meant something special to you, come to heart. Any of your ancestors, family, friends. And just let them be with you as you breathe here. Maybe they're in the sound of the drums. Now, there's a part of this meditation song that I would like you guys to join with me on. When James and I go, za, then I want you guys to join us on whoosh, ah, whoosh. Do you want to try that with me? I'm going to go za, and we're going to go whoosh, ah, whoosh, za, whoosh, ah, whoosh, za, whoosh, ah, whoosh. Okay, I think we're ready. What's our note? Listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Za, whoosh, ah, whoosh. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead are not under the earth. They are in the rustling trees. They are in the groaning woods. They are in the crying grass. They are in the moaning rocks. The dead are not under the earth. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the waters. Za, whoosh, ah, whoosh. Those who have died have never, never left. The dead have a pact with the living. They are in the woman's breast. They are in the wailing child. They are with us in our homes. They are with us in the crowd. The dead have a pact with the living. So listen more often to things than to beings. Listen more often to things than to beings. 'Tis the ancestors' breath when the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the water. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the fire's voice is heard. 'Tis the ancestors' breath in the voice of the water. Za, whoosh, whoosh, za, za. Let's just breathe into that silence and be together in it for a bit. As Sam plays our musical meditation this morning, everyone is invited to come and place a stone in the tradition we've begun here. Maybe today you're remembering someone. Maybe you're putting a stone down in a prayer of thanks or in grief, in joy, all is welcome here, and you all are welcome to begin our mandala of stones. And after you place a stone, if you want to, you're going to go out that way towards Margot, out what we know as the east side, the vestibule, that break in the pews that way, to the back. So we'll let Sam bring us into that time.
We bring our joys and our sorrows and our hopes and our fears with us every week when we come to worship, when we join remotely or in person. And we do that because we have trust that this community can help us hold those joys and those sorrows. Whether we place a stone, whether we say it out loud, whether we hold it inside, the community helps. This community matters. This congregation matters in this larger community, and we take a moment in our service to remember that too, that it is here because you are here, because together we make this congregation possible in the world. And we also take up an offering in order to give half of it away. Usually, we give those gifts to organizations right here in Burlington that are doing the work of our mission. Today is an exception on a fifth Sunday because you may or may not know that there is a disaster relief fund that the Unitarian Universalist Association administers. And sometimes, like this time, after hurricanes, congregations in the country are struggling with missing roofs or flooded spaces or things that are expensive to fix, and there's not enough money in their budgets. So there's an opportunity for us, people, Unitarian Universalists in other parts of the country, to help with that. And this week's gifts to the offering will be shared with the UUA Disaster Relief Fund. Your dollars helping other Unitarian Universalists in other parts of the country. It's a good thing. Let us speak together the words of our offering dedication. With gratitude, we dedicate these gifts in the service of our mission to inspire spiritual growth, care for each other and our community, seek truth, and act for justice. As always, if you would like to, if you want another walk like Adam does, you are welcome to come and actually put something in the basket. You can give online through your phone. You can give any way that you can, and all of it will be appreciated. When my first child, Patrick, was 20 months old, his father and I scooped him up and moved overseas for the better part of 3 years, first in Greece and then in Western Africa, in Gabon. And then we moved back. We bought a little house in a neighborhood west of Boston, and we set about becoming Americans again, which is not entirely an easy thing to do, but perhaps especially for Patrick, who was then 4.5. Many normal American ways of doing things were strange and took getting used to. Cold weather, for one, snowsuits and boots and mittens and hats. The strange wonder of McDonald's, those little prize toys, and so many television channels. As that first year wore on, we all seemed to be adjusting, and then it was October, and Halloween was coming up. The stores were full of orange and black things, costumes and decorations and candy and witches and spiders and skeletons. Patrick thought all of it was interesting to look at, but when I started talking to him about what he might want to be for Halloween and how we would go trick-or-treating, he looked at me as if I had lost my mind. I was the mother who wouldn't let him cross our little street alone, who never willingly let him eat things that weren't good for him, suggesting that he put on strange clothes, pretend to be someone, something he wasn't, go out and ring doorbells of people he didn't know, and ask for candy. All after it was dark outside. Seeing the look on my little boy's face made me stop and think for a minute about Halloween, because it's a lot of pretty strange stuff. As far as anyone knows, the origins of Halloween can be traced to the Celtic people of about 2,000 years ago who lived in what we think of as Western Europe, especially England and Ireland and Scotland and Wales. To the Celts, spirits were very real. Trees and animals and the earth itself all held magic and power, and, of course, after people died and before people were born, their spirits had to be somewhere, perhaps uncomfortably close by. Spirits were respected in that culture, and they were also feared. So people fashioned ways to be safe or safer, especially at this time of year. The belief was, and still kind of is, that right around now, as autumn sets in and the days grow colder and the nights grow longer, the walls that separate the physical, material world from the realm of the spirits become thin, permeable. And if one isn't careful, spirits can get into the world and maybe into people even. So they practice rituals as people are wont to do when life is large or powerful or scary. And thus was born the festival we call Samhain, which is an end of the harvest festival that marks the beginning of the darker half of the year. Samhain was and is celebrated in many different ways by different names in different places. I don't want to oversimplify it. It generally included offerings of food and in some ways appeasing the god as a petition to survive the dark, cold time of the year. And in the night, because Samhain begins at dusk, people would dress up in costumes and masks. There are stories of parents disguising their children, dressing girls as boys and boys as girls, so that they might not be recognized and stolen by the spirits. People built bonfires, they rang bells, they cavorted. I don't really know what cavorting is, but it sounds good, doesn't it? Cavorting. And all of that to fool and frighten the spirits, and also to celebrate. The trick-or-treat idea might have come, some people think, from a slightly later Celtic custom of giving out sweet cakes in exchange for prayers being said for the souls of the dead. Or the tricks part, apparently that was brought to our country, courtesy of the Irish, my people, and the Scots. We won't speculate about why tricks were important to them. Such pagan rituals might seem silly, even bizarre, We know the world isn't full of spirits. We now, not any other time in the year. And then again, maybe we're not so sure. Perhaps there have been times when you have had the feeling of another presence. Maybe someone you recognize, like a loved relative who has died. Or maybe not a person at all, but something larger, warm and comforting, or cold and terrifying. We human beings are not always rational. We're more complicated than that. And at this time of year, as the seasons change and the light clears and dims, we change too. The world looks and feels and sounds different now than it did in the midsummer, and than it will when the snow falls. The wind comes up, the leaves swirl and rustle against one another. Trees, suddenly bare of leaves, do kind of look like skeletons against the sky. And the dark is full of unseen things. It can be an unsettling time. When Christianity came to the Celtic world, there was, as you might expect, something of a clash. Christians taught that the only good spiritual power comes from God through the church, mediated by its ordained male leaders, the priests. Pagan celebrations and rituals did not, though, go away. They got absorbed and kind of mixed up in the celebrations and the rituals of the church. So what we've got now, in our time, we've got something called All Souls Day in the Christian tradition, in which we are to pray for the dead. That's coming up on November 2nd. We've got All Saints Day for the saints, the day before, on November 1st. And Samhain, Halloween, starts at dusk tomorrow on October 31st. And all of this shows up, if we look closely at it, in our Halloween traditions. Samhain, All Souls, All Saints, wrapped up into one. The Catholic Church that I grew up in had a whole system of categorizing people. The saints are the few perfect souls who go all the way through life being good and proceed straight to heaven when they die. Most of us are not saints, and the best that we can hope for is some time in purgatory to atone for our sins. And the saints actually can help in this Catholic system with that sentence to lessen it, because people pray to the saints on behalf of those who are waiting in purgatory. Did you know that? How many of you learned that when you were a kid? It kind of even makes sense to me at the time. It is a neat system, but I am no longer in sympathy with it. Not only because I don't go in for hell or purgatory, but also and mostly because I would drastically advocate for an expansion about the idea of saints. I would put lots more people in that group, not because we're perfect, but because we can help. The people who are our guides, I think, are our saints, while they're here with us in this life and maybe even after they're gone. Saints are people that we call on when faced with a difficult decision or a really hard day. We wonder, what would so-and-so have said or thought or done in a moment like this? Saints, I imagine, are the people who are the foundation on which we can build our understanding, not of what's normal, but of what's good and right. My kind of saint doesn't get anybody out of purgatory after they've died. They help us get out of or at least survive, various torments while we're still alive. People who teach us directly and indirectly what a good life is. You might even say that they teach what God is, if God or goodness is the power to draw out of the messiness of life everything that's beautiful and loving and brave and joyful, calling all that good stuff to rise up right in the presence of hatred and cruelty, and bigotry. If that's what God is in some understandings, then people are a pretty key element to that, because God is not a solo act. I am drawn to the Sufi idea that God is always approaching us, even running toward us, even when we're not awake enough to notice. I wanted to remind you of the words that we all sang in the first hymn. This is a hymn that I love. The words were written not 500 years ago, but a few hundred years ago by Christina Georgina Rossetti. It's a message from a saint, I think. She wrote, "O ye who taste that love is sweet, set waymarks for the doubtful feet that stumble on in search of it. Sing hymns of love that some who hear far off in pain may lend an ear, rise up and wonder and draw near. Lead lives of love," she says, "that others who behold your lives may kindle too with love and cast their lot with you." Alleluia. Let's sing one more time.
I'd like to invite you to stand with me in body or spirit, and we'll sing together hymn number 108, hymn 108, "My Life Flows On in Endless Song." My life flows on in endless song, above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, though far off hymn, that hails a new creation. Through all the tumult and the strife, I hear the music ringing. It sounds an echo in my soul. How can I keep from singing? What though the tempest round me roars? I know the truth it liveth. What though the darkness round me close? Songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging. Since love prevails in heaven and earth, how can I keep from singing? When tyrants tremble as they hear the bells of freedom ringing, when friends rejoice both far and near, how can I keep from singing? To prison cell and dungeon vile, our thoughts to them are winging. When friends by shame are undefiled, how can I keep from singing? Thank you. Please be seated.
Let's say together the words that we say when we extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and share with the world until we are together again. The benediction today is from the work of Elizabeth Tarbox. We are the earthbound ones, she writes, left to keep our adventurous spirits longing and leaning, looking for the light. Keep us poised thus, dear Spirit, entrusted to the earth and moving to the poetry of the stars. Go in peace.